Hey guys, it's your girl T, and I'm here for another recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So the show starts by, we see Kenya and she's getting her twirl on. She's doing her whole Gone with the Wind fabulous thing at some upside down spinning sex shop. So she's upside down and her booty looks like two hams, two rump roasts. And she's just spinning around and making all this damn noise. So Candy walks in there. She's like, you know what? Kenya really needs to retire the whole Gone with the Wind fabulous because everybody, including myself, we're over it. Find a new saying this season, Kenya. We need you to stop saying twirl, Gone with the Wind fabulous. The shit is just dead and over with. That ship has since sailed and that wind has since blown away. So Candy comes in there to talk to Kenya. She says that she can't get on the little sex contraption because she hurt her foot. So she wants to talk to Kenya about the whole situation with Apollo and Phaedra and Kenya texting Apollo. So Kenya basically says that, you know what, she wasn't the one who texted him first and that Apollo texted her, and then she goes to her car to go grab her cell phone and prove it to Candy. As if we don't live in this modern world of technology where you can't doctor shit to make it fit how you want it to fit. So she starts reading the text messages that Apollo supposedly sent her, and Candy's just sitting there looking, giving her the side eye like, why are you talking to your mortal enemy's husband? And then she asks Kenya, like, have you and Apollo ever met up? And Kenya says she doesn't recall. So the whole thing is just really, really suspicious. And it's just kind of shady because I don't think that Kenya should be texting Apollo, and neither should Apollo be texting Kenya. So the next thing, Candy goes to go meet with Phaedra for lunch, and Phaedra's basically telling Candy that Kenya offered Apollo some head. Kenya wanted to give Apollo some head. Supposedly Apollo declined the head, and Phaedra goes on to say that, you know, Apollo doesn't want scrambled eggs. He doesn't want a fake ass and all this other stuff. But to me, Phaedra seems kind of, you know, hurt and kind of worried, and it just feels like she's not really believing Apollo nor Kenya. So we go back to Kenya, and we see that Kenya is now living at the Comfort Inn, possibly in Decatur, because the way Nene acts, she acts like Kenya's like in the middle of the projects. She said that Kenya was not trying to pay more than $79.99 a night for this place. This motel room is a hot mess. And then Nene just kind of tricks me out with how arrogant she's gotten over the years. She comes in, she's like, oh my God, not a white refrigerator. Who the hell does that? Who still uses a white refrigerator? And it's like, really, Nene? Like, born in New York, you grew up in the South, you were poor, your mother was a young single mom, so you mean to tell me that you've never seen a white refrigerator no more? Like, you're that far removed from having a white refrigerator? I have all stainless steel appliances in my house right now, but does that make me better than somebody else who doesn't? You know, I didn't know that it was such a curse to have a white refrigerator. You know, I've been really, really turned off by Nene's arrogant attitude. You know, we understand you have money now. We understand that you're rich, bitch. But, you know, the whole arrogant attitude and acting like you better than and like you forgot where you come from, I'm not feeling that. And I hate the new accent that she has. It's like she's just become really, really full of herself. So she basically tells Kenya that they need to go apartment shopping right now. She cannot have Kenya living in squalor. She takes Kenya to go look at some really, really high-end apartments, and these apartments are literally going for $1 million. You know, and Kenya's looking like, damn, you know, I don't want to pay $1 million for a 4,000, you know, square foot condo when I can pay $1 million and get a house. You know, so it was just kind of interesting to see how beautiful the place was and how nice it was. But I'm thinking to myself, Kenya, you don't have Nene's money. Don't let Nene get you into a situation that your ass can't cash. It makes no sense to live above your needs to front for Nene or anybody else. You need to get what you can afford and fuck what anybody else thinks about it. If all you can afford right now is a hotel at the Comfort Inn, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, none of these women came for money. They were all struggling and broke, and the only reason why they're famous and have money now is because of us, the audience. So now on to Portia. So Portia decides to go see Dr. Sherry. And I swear Dr. Sherry is the counselor for every rich black person in ATL. Because I see this woman on every reality show, from the Braxtons to Real Housewives of Atlanta to other shows I've seen her on as well. So Dr. Sherry's talking to Portia, and she's basically telling Portia that she basically put Cordell as her father figure. And we find out that Portia lost her father when she was really young, at like 17 or something like that. And to me, it just came off like Portia was just a gold digger. When Dr. Sherry asked Portia, what did you see in Cordell? What made you fall for him? And it's like she didn't say love. She didn't say, you know, his compassion. She didn't say anything. It's like she wanted to be taken care of. She wanted to be a kept wife. So that to me screams gold digger. It seems like she was with Cordell for all the wrong reasons. And once Cordell woke up and seen that is why he dropped her like a hotcake. I just feel like Portia needs to come into her own. I'm tired of the whole Cordell storyline. I'm tired of the whole, you know, hinting that he's gay. She needs to come into her own and figure out what she needs to do. What are the next steps that she's going to take in her life now that Cordell's out of the picture. So in the next scene, Candy decides to invite all the ladies to go out to lunch with Portia. So they're all waiting for Portia. Portia finally shows up, and of course they have another Cordell bashing session. And Portia's just saying how, you know, Cordell treated her horribly, how her sister couldn't come over there, her mom couldn't come over there, and Cordell just kept Portia isolated from everyone. And Nene, finding this out, was like, well, damn, if he did all that to you, I don't want y'all getting back together. I don't want you with Cordell. You know, and I just find it funny that once again, her whole storyline is bashing Cordell. You know, people break up all the time, but when you have to keep dragging that person into the conversation, into everything, it means that you're not over it. You know, like they always say, there's three sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. And I think the truth lies somewhere within there. You know, just because this man did not want to get you pregnant does not necessarily mean he was gay. He might have been thinking some other things, you know, that you weren't the one for him, and that he needs to cut all ties. And why bring a child into this world when everything is not working right? You know, and I think she should have looked at that as a blessing as opposed to him being gay. Because right now she'd be a single mother with a kid, you know, in a messed up situation. So why not just cut your losses for what they are and do what you have to do? So I thought the lunch was just really, really interesting. How once again it turned into a whole Cordell bashing situation. And I'm just kind of over it now. Okay, so now on to the moment of the night. Phaedra and Apollo get into it at the damn restaurant. So this whole situation was just really sad, and I just don't see this marriage ending well. I think the stress of them being on camera for the past few seasons have taken a toll on both of them. Phaedra's accusing him of being jealous of the children and the time that she has to spend with the kids. And Apollo's like, no, I want to just spend time with you. You're my wife. I want to be with you. It's just kind of sad how she kind of just, you know, plays Apollo's feelings to the left. So then they get onto the whole Kenya Moore situation because Phaedra finds out that she's being subpoenaed by Kenya, who was Kenya Moore's landlord. So they start talking about the whole Kenya situation, and she tells Apollo that Candy told her that he was the one texting Kenya. And Apollo says that he didn't text Kenya, that Kenya texted him first, and that it was a two-way street, and that's why he wanted to leave LA and come back home. And Phaedra's upset, and she feels like, you know what, you had no business texting her, replying to her. You had no business having any dealings with her. And Apollo is, you know, going off on her like, you know what, first of all, I'm not one of your kids. Don't talk to me crazy like that. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. And they're starting to go back and forth. But Phaedra really holds her composure. You know, she's like, I'm ready to cut you with this knife. I'm ready to cut your tongue out. But she's trying to hold herself, but you can tell she's hurt, she's upset, and she's not really believing everything that Apollo is telling her because Apollo's story done changed so many times. So it leaves all of us wondering, did Apollo and Kenya really hook up behind Phaedra's back? So then once they get into the car, she lets him have it. She starts cursing and saying all types of bitches, and she's not putting up with this. And they're not realizing that the microphone is in the car. So a lot of folks are saying that Phaedra is fake. She tries to put on this, you know, whole Southern persona and act like she doesn't curse, like she doesn't do anything wrong. But then as soon as the cameras aren't there and the microphone's there, you see Phaedra's true colors. All that does sound good. I do respect Phaedra for not showing out. They were in a classy restaurant, and it's like, why act like a hood booger? Why start throwing butter? Why start throwing butter rolls? Why slap your husband? Why start yelling and acting a fool and giving the tabloids more food for fodder? You know, I felt like Phaedra really composed herself. She checked her emotions, and then when they were behind closed doors is when she let Apollo have it. And I think that's how it should be. I don't think that you have to show out in the streets. I don't think that you have to act a fool. You know what I'm saying? But behind closed doors, you know, sometimes you have to argue, sometimes you have to go back and forth, but it's nobody's business but their own. But unfortunately for them, they're putting this out there for the world to see, and so people are going to have judgments of both of them either way. You know, do I feel like Apollo and Kenya hooked up? I don't know, because I wasn't there, but it seems like both of them, you know, had no business, in my opinion, texting each other. You know, especially if somebody's no longer your friend, you have no business texting your so-called ex-friend's husband. You guys have no business dealing with each other, point blank. You guys weren't friends before this, and you guys don't need to be friends after this. At the end of the day, Apollo is Phaedra's husband, and Kenya needs to respect that. So anyways, you guys, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right, deuces.